Hey guys, it's Chris, and welcome to Toned and Toneful, the self-actualization video podcast, episode number 50. Love is stronger than pride. So in this week's episode, guys, I wanted to talk about something that's incredibly important to me. So much so, this is actually my third time recording this particular episode. As with all Toned and Tonefuls, I might have a very small set of bullets that I work off of, but it's never outlined and it's never set up in a way that I have specific things that I want to say in any order or specific things that I want to say on purpose other than the title. I do this because I want it to be a very genuine conversation and something that flows naturally for me. That's something that I found very important about this particular video podcast that I feel is important to me and you guys. So I always try to maintain that. So let's get started in this week's episode. So I wanted to talk about love because I've seen a lot of different things happening in my life with people who are near and dear to me that have been affecting them very greatly. Some are entering relationships, some are exiting relationships, but no matter what's happening with these individuals, their life is deeply affected by these relationships. And it's a lot more so than that's given in Western culture to today. So I wanted to go over why love is stronger than pride, why love is essential and it is sacred at the same time. And these are things that are worth protecting in our mindset and our spirituality and will even help our musicianship. So love in the modern era now is something that's so different than what I remember growing up. As someone who's in their late 30s, I always remember love being the pinnacle of human experiences. Not that it was more important than every experience, but it was the guiding light for all experiences. Love is something that is so important, whether it's the love that we have for our significant other, our family, our pets, our very close friends, or the passions that we have in our life. Love is something that was romanticized. The passion for playing a guitar 8 hours a day was something I romanticized. Meeting the right partner who would inspire me, or as others would be inspired by someone that they would love in their life, is something that they work towards. The love for the family was a reason to fight for a better future, to make things better for the last name, to create a situation where the mother and father could be taken care of by you, hypothetically. But in today's time, that has changed so much. We've come into a culture where instead of inviting love, we shun it. We look at it as a burden, that loving our family during the holidays and dealing with the funky uncle means that you don't have to show up on Thanksgiving, or that the person that we care about has a differing opinion from us that actually requires us to cognitively think a little different and do things different. They're not worth it. Or that, with our friends, if they didn't communicate with me on this post or they didn't do this and help me with this one thing, well, they're not really my friend. And while these all could be situations that, to an extreme level enough, the funky uncle is funky enough, your friends really aren't there for you at all. I'm not telling you to keep these people in your life. But when you love someone in your life, whether that again is a passion like music, and whether that is a person, when we love spiritually, this is something that we give. Love really doesn't have that much of a taking in the cycle. When we love, we are the adorer. We are adoring something. And in that mindset, we're putting ourselves out there to love what we're putting our energy towards. And we should do that unashamed and unabashedly. If you find that at a part in your life you don't love someone the same way or something changes, that can be addressed. But I believe that that feeling that's internal within us needs to be expressed. It needs to be let out. And the consequences of this are very real if we don't learn how to really lock in and make something special of the relationships that we have with different parts of our life. If we don't love the people in our life, like our family, you're going to have a very small circle of people who will be out there to truly be there for you. I'm not saying that there aren't people who don't come from abusive or very dark families. That's a truth. And I even have my own stories with some of those things. And those who know me well enough have probably heard some of those stories. But I don't denounce my family. Instead, I found ways to either forgive them or address those people. And believe me, addressing some of that was not easy, but it was out of love. To come to somebody and say, hey, this is what happened. I don't know what you think of it or how you felt about it when this went down, but this was important to me. And I protected that love because I wanted that in my life. I didn't want more doors closed in my life. I wanted more doors open. And protecting that love was very essential. Even though in today's time they would tell me, just ixnay that. Just get rid of that person in your life. Now you're living a better life because you're just doing you. As a community creature, being a human being, doing you works for about as long as that works. And yeah, it's in a means to an ends for some people, but doing you works, again, as long as it works. Without family, when the moment shows up, you want someone to be there for you. When something's finally working out, when you feel joy, you'll actually want your family to be there. When you're feeling low in life, do you really think the best position you can be in is all by yourself? This can even extend to a significant other. For the people that we love in our lives, whether that's the partner that we have in our life, maybe right now it's a boyfriend or girlfriend for some people, or a husband or a wife. It doesn't matter. The people that we have in our life that we love, these people are essential. They are sacred. They have now become your family. If this person is someone that you give your heart to, you give your love to, it's incredibly important that you are making boundaries to protect that. That you realize that your love is stronger than your pride, and you can be able to look at things through the lens of not just, what do I think about this? When you look at it, you can go, how does the person I love feel in this moment about these situations? And have a real dialogue, because real love and real communication, they go together. The trust that everyone talks about in love comes from the communication and that love coming together. And when those are expressed fully, we finally have that trust that comes, because that communication and that understanding of where someone is at is, I believe, the most important thing in the world. This could even show up in music friends, in bands. When we don't trust and communicate with those who are around us in our community musically, or in our band, or with people who, or with our passion, when we don't communicate honestly with ourselves about how we feel about when we're playing music. Maybe the first instrument you choose to play is piano, but every time you pick up a guitar, you feel a connection to it, and you're good at piano, but piano you don't have the connection to. When you play it, you're like, I get it, but it's not me. That communication within yourself is going to lead you to a place that has far less bad consequences, because you're following your actual soul. You're communicating with yourself. And remember, in all these things, communicating with our family to that degree, our significant other, our friends, our bandmates, that is a reflection of how much communication we can do with ourself. And if you can't unearth that, if you can't see that from this, then I recommend that you spend some time journaling, or you spend some time talking to yourself and rereading that. And it's funny how when you read something from a month ago, it feels like you're in third person. You're like, who the heck even wrote this? It's you. That's you at a different time. And we go through phases and we go through changes, and we need to communicate that. And the real ultimate consequence of living with the mindset that love is something that should be put on the back burner so we can do us, so I can do me, do you in life. You have no support net. Do you think that if your friend's working on music all the time, and you were their friend and you talked all the time, and they start coming out with songs and they start doing well and you don't comment on them, do you think that they're not going to see that? That you're there for them only when they're down, but you're not there for them when they're up? True love requires that at times we realize that our friends, our family, our significant other, they might be having a better time than us in their life at that time. There might be a situation that is more clean for them, or more specifically working for them, where success is in their path. you're not going to be there for them? The answer is like, you got to be there for them. That's silly to not be there. And there are friends of mine who have been there for me through dark times, and when my good times come, they're not there. I try to always see that the efforts that they've made and how they communicate with me, but the real people, the ones who I love, who I have passion that goes back and forth, are the people who see the good in me consistently. Even if that's not always easy for them. Even if they hear something come out of my mouth and they go, that's not exactly what I agree with, but Chris is a person, I know where he comes from. And we could say that about others. Hey, like, I know that when my girlfriend says that, she's saying it in these set of words, but I know the overall meaning isn't just like that. And that's why I love her. That's why I'm here. And I will work on that communication to understand that, or I'll work on that communication so that it becomes something that's it makes a little more sense to me by asking questions that clarify. We need to be good at the cycle of giving and taking. Because remember, love is always a situation where we're giving. So we want to put ourselves in a position where when we give, we can take. It feels okay to get a compliment when you're giving compliments. It feels good when your friends are there for you, when your song is blowing up and you're like, look at the comments, when your situation is going up in life and everyone's there to support your music store and buy maybe merchandise, whatever it is. And when that time comes for you, you turn around and you do the same thing for them. You make sure that they know that they're seen, and you build that community, because in today's world, with where AI is going, trust me, we're all going to lose to the robots. If we don't know how to link together and create success for people who want to stay in communities together and build music and build each other up. The next thing that I want to bring up, going outside of the kind of where the current love landscape is into more of an artist level, is the tortured artist story is old. We all know that the tortured artist story is putting pain as the inspiration, and pain is just life. Don't turn pain into inspiration. Pain is life. We must suffer, unfortunately. You're hungry multiple times a day. You're thirsty multiple times a day. You need to use the restroom. You have psychological needs. Everybody does. And all it takes is something small to take all that away. And if all that was gone, if all that was taken away from you, do you think the tortured artist mindset's really doing anything? Be inspiring. Be inspiring. Don't do it to a fault where that's the only emotion you feel. But everyone needs more than the sad, tortured artist that doesn't create anything. Creation is beautiful, and creation is building. And when we're positive, our mindset is stacking up. You can feel it. You can feel in your best days how it feels like it's a level up. And if it isn't something that you feel you can level up, if you're one of those people who, like, when you're having a good day, you're kind of always anticipating that the day is going to get worse, I don't know how to tell you, but stop doing that to yourself. Please. That is literally like just shooting yourself in the foot. If you're starting to gain a little momentum with feeling good, and you have a lot of unhealthy habits with things being bad, address it by all means. Figure out what it is to make something good to you. But don't steal your happiness away from yourself. That is almost downright silly. When we're living in the tortured artist mindset, another thing to kind of keep in mind is, if you're trying to build a community, you're not going to be able to do it. A lot of people who are the tortured artists are really reluctant to take compliments. They always live in this self-deprecation kind of attitude. It's funny if you're out with friends and like people are like hyping you up and then you finally tell a joke to kind of bring yourself down a notch. I get that. That's an understandable trait to have and to know how to balance with people you know. That's okay. But when everything is like kind of like woe is me, doom, gloom, whatever. It doesn't matter. Oh, I can't believe you like my song. It's a piece of trash. Like, people who think like that, and I am guilty as heck of being that kind of person before. Who wants to be around that? They give you like 2 compliments and they hear you're just rattling on about how you're not happy. And they're just like, all right, you know what? I don't know this person well enough to care about this. I thought they were cool. So that community you want to build, that group of people that when finally something's good for you and you want to share a song with somebody and you want them to actually respond, you want them to actually listen, you want them to care other than go, wow, that's cool, man. Oh, you're so talented. Those aren't compliments. That's just someone trying to say, shut up, I listened to your song, or maybe I listened to a part of it. Very cool, dude, whatever. People who really love your work will have an emotional statement to say about it. They'll have something that will come out of it that will just bring beauty into your life, which is what you brought into their life by bringing creation into it. So the starving artist thing, don't do it to yourself. It's really just a sad place to be. So instead, there are some cool things that you can do without alienating yourself. And it's not about putting everybody on a pedestal. So it's like, oh, because I'm a loving person, that means that I put everybody's needs above mine and I just beat myself down. No, it's not that. Because when you know what love is to you, and when you're brave enough to say it's stronger than pride, you even do that for yourself. You tell yourself the truth no matter what first. If you felt hungry, you'd feed yourself just like you'd want to have someone you love. When they're like, oh, I'm really hungry, and you're like almost want to offer them something or go get them lunch, you would do that for yourself. The love that you give in this world is actually a pretty strong reflection of who you are with yourself. And I find that the sweetest people and the most caring people that I know, they tend to be the ones who look the best. They tend to be the ones who take care of themselves the best, but they will not shy away from doing that for someone else. I admire that over a person who's disheveled, has bad breath, has poor habits, and, they're trying to be there for you and they're barely able to figure themselves out. To me, that's like, go back to the drawing board, figure yourself out, and then come back. So some things I had in mind is love is stronger than pride. It's the name of this episode after the Sade song. And if you guys know who Sade is, love is stronger than pride. You know what it is. And really the reason I chose that is because true love will be more than just what you think about yourself and your ego. And you'll tell people you love them. The people who are in your life that you care about, do not feel ashamed to give them a compliment, tell them you love them, or tell them that you miss them. I don't care if it's guy to guy, girl to girl, guy to girl. There is a space to tell people you care about them. Like, do I think that you should go run and go tell a person who's in a relationship that they're happy with and then go tell them that you love them in their DMs? Absolutely not. That's not love. Love is when you actually have a built relationship with a person where there is an existing rapport that you can work with. That there have been times that you've built trust through certain situations, through maybe hardships together. That could be someone you even had a class at school with and you guys did a group project. That's someone who you can actually say, hey, I love that person. Like, they really looked out and we both got A's on our project together. And like, we made sure that no one suffered for our group project. That's amazing. When you actually finally feel that love is stronger than pride in your life, you'll also build a community. Community is essential. We are community creatures as humans, and if there is no safety net for you to fall into, if there is no space for you to reach higher to, for someone to show you how to do something, a mentor you have, believe me, you will stay in the same place forever. I see plenty of people that I know who, because they're too afraid to have friends, they're too afraid to be out of their house, they're too afraid to do anything, they basically torture themselves by never really rising up higher in success, because if they were to fall, they kind of know that they have no falling net. So that scares them so much that they stay in place. And there are people that I know that are kind of stuck where they are because they have no one to reach up to, because they don't communicate, because they don't express admiration, care, they don't ask questions. They're stuck in a place where it's like, dang, if I don't do anything, this is like literally where I am. I'm literally just doing this, but I'm too scared to go either way. So what do you get out of that? Tell someone you care about them. Tell someone that you admire their work. If there's a local artist who's in the same genre of music as you or the same genre of art, how come you don't know them? That's like your friend at school. If a friend at school is wearing the same band t-shirt, you'd be like, yo, I love AC/DC. Yo, I love Led Zeppelin. Hey, that shirt right there from Rush is awesome. And you know my favorite album from Rush? Hey, that Ozzy, album was my favorite one. And I know all the songs too. Amazing. So is that the kind of person you want to be? You're reaching out and you're connecting with the people of your like-mindedness? Or are you trapping yourself in a hole because you feel that every one of these other people are competition and you can't know them? What are you thinking there? Work with all the people you can. Don't be judgmental on their work. Instead, be open-minded. Look at the talent they have before you collaborate and think about it. If not, you could just be a cool person who shows up in their comments and says, hey, this is awesome. Is there anything wrong with that? Never be afraid to be the person who makes the first gesture. One of the big things about, I don't know if it's, I'm a millennial, I'm an early millennial. I don't know if it's a millennial thing, an after, but the kids who were older than me in school were Gen Xers. And I had a couple of people I really admired when I was like 15 who were like 25 and like 30. And they were cool enough to be like, hey, little buddy, come over here. And I remember there was this guy named Lee who I used to live near when I was a kid. I'm going to use him as an example. I think he was like 33 when I was like 16. And he was pretty intense. The dude was like, he had a bench press outside. And I remember it had 3 plates on it. And I remember all the guys at school could barely get 2. And I remember he was like straight repping 3 plates. Probably 5'10", 195 to 205 pounds, shredded, little 28-inch waist. And so the dude used to just pump up, and he had this Jackson Randy Rhodes. And I remember I would come over, and he would just rip the most crazy, like, Lydian licks and all this stuff. And at the time, I only played pentatonic scale, so my mind was melted. But he made that first gesture, and in that moment, to me as a young kid, that really actually changed me. That allowed me to be in a space where I could hear musicians who were not kind of better than I was, like far better than I was, better than everyone at school. And one of the greatest things that I learned from him, and one of the greatest things that I learned from the sessions that we had, was he was willing to put his foot out there first. I was the younger one, and I was really kind of nervous. I was like kind of like a very to myself kid. Like, it's like headphones on and just like kind of doing my own thing, which many musicians, like many of us are. But he made it cool for me to be me, and I would show him kind of some of the parts I was coming up with, and he was like, oh, dude, like, he's like, you're actually kind of doing good on this, like, check this out. And it'd be like the next little step above. And I've tried to be that for every person who I played guitar with, or if I was the person who was a little bit older, I would offer them that kind of, that delicate nature to like the relationship that we have, that I would allow them to be kind of to learn, and that I'm moving forward with helping that. And I've had people who've helped me with that. And I've had some relationships where that's dead equal. People are just kind of throwing on the table, which is the best situation. The best situation is when you can both appreciate each other and put each other in a place to win. So I hope you guys can hear what I'm saying, that the general idea of this episode is about us being beyond our pride. Being beyond this level that we think it's actually cool to not love. Love is the ultimate inspiration. Love is true freedom. It's when you give and you don't expect anything in return, finally. When your parents look at you and you were born, if your parents' heads was in the right place, they would give their life for you. No question. Even if you turned out to become nothing, the idea is that the promise of you could be something. The promise of your life could become something. Remember that when we give and when we love in life, it's to the promise to our inner self that when I felt free, I would do it no matter what. Don't take that from yourself. Don't be that small little person who's like, well, they didn't check this mark for me, so I'm not checking this mark for them. I'm not speaking about unhealthy relationships. I'm talking about ones where actually we're the selfish one. I'm talking about ones where we're not putting love out because we have a very poor belief in what love is. So I really appreciate you guys staying this long in the episode. If you made it to this point, write the word flower, Flower, like a growing flower. And I want you to put it in there, and I'm going to reward you guys with special content for those who actually make it to the end of the episodes. I'm going to be doing some side episodes that will be private and listed just for you guys. So from here, I just want to say thank you guys very much for joining me in episode 50. Love is stronger than pride. And remember, above all else, stay toned and toneful.